Hey everybody. So for today's homework, you're going to finish up what you started in class. And I just kind of want to go over what we were talking about. And I'm going to do it with one demonstration with the Play-Doh, and then I'm going to continue doing it without, um, so that you'll have a better understanding. All right, so the first problem here is Caleb and two friends are sharing 1/4 of a brownie or a brownie bar. So how much of the brownie bar will each friend get? So getting my Play-Doh out here. So I'm going to use my Play-Doh. I'm just going to try to get that out. All right. So the first thing I need to do is talk about how many kids are we talking about? Very good. We have Caleb plus his two friends. So I have one Caleb plus two friends. It's going to be a total of 3. Do I have one whole brownie that I'm going to be sharing? No, I only have 1/4 of a brownie that we're going to share. So then my equation becomes 1/4 because that's my dividend. That's the number I'm going to be breaking apart. Okay. And I'm going to divide that into 3 parts because that's all I have. So maybe Caleb ate the rest of it and he only had 1/4 of it left. And his friends are saying, "Hey, I want some." And he's like, "Okay, sure." So how much of the brownie bar will each friend get? So they may not get a whole lot. So I'm going to make a brownie bar. So this is what I have. Kind of looks like that little brownie bar there. And then you see those over at HEB that they sell in the boxes, right? So they have the brownies, they have the Nutty Buddies, all those other good stuff. Because it's 1/4 of the brownie bar, I have to look at my denominator, and my denominator says I'm going to have 4 parts. So I'm going to cut this in half because it makes it easier. And I'm going to cut my halves in halves so I can get 4 equal parts. Now he's only going to use one of the 4 parts. So I'm going to just kind of move that over. He's going to share so this is what he has left. That's what he's going to be sharing with his friends. He's got 3 friends that he's going to share with. So Caleb gets 1 part, a friend gets the other part, and his other friend gets another part. We talked about in class that we're looking at the whole brownie. And if I took 1/4 of it and divided it into 3 parts, then I'm going to take the rest of it and divide that into 3 parts as well. But again, this is what we're looking at, right? Only that one. So how many total equal parts do I have? So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So now, how much will each friend get? Well, Caleb is going to get 1 out of the 12 pieces. His friend's going to get 1 of the 12, and his other friend will get 1 of the 12. So then 1/4. So I know that I've started off with a fraction, and I took that 1/4 and I cut it into smaller pieces. So now the 1/4 is going to be much smaller, and I had to do the same thing with the rest of the whole. So each friend is going to get 1/12 of the brownie, 1 out of the 12 parts. I can also represent it as a picture. So I've cut that into 4 parts. This is the 1/4 that he's going to share with his friends, and he's sharing 3 friends. So there's Caleb, a friend, and his other friend. Then I have to pretend like, well, let me go ahead and continue, because this isn't what we're using. We're only using this one, but we have to look at the whole brownie, not just a portion of it. I can see here that I have 12 equal parts. So the value of this one right here is 1/12. So remember, we also said that if you start with a fraction, you're going to end with a fraction. This is also the same as the keep, change, flip that we talked about in class. So my dividend, I will always keep, because that's the one thing that is that I have. I have my dividend, but I'm going to divide that into 3 parts, and that's what I did here. So now I'm going to have the 1, 2, 3 times. So I'm going to change this. So this is the keep, and I'm going to write it up here. K is keep dividend. C is change operation. So what's the inverse? Flip is going to be either a whole number. So it's going to be flip number. So it's either going to be a whole number to a fraction or a fraction to a number. So this is a whole number. So I'm going to flip that and it becomes, so this is keep, change, and now I'm flipping. So the 3 wholes now becomes 1/3. Remember that when I'm multiplying, it's 1 times 1. It goes straight across, over 4 times 3, and that equals to 1/12. We also talked in class about checking your work. Remember, as you're catching up, pause the video, do your work, and then come back to see if you're right. So if each one is valued at 1/12, so this is 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. Oops, caught my mistake right there. So that becomes 1, 2, 3 12s. I can simplify that. 3 goes into itself 1 time. 12 divided by 3 equals 4. So did I start off with 1/4? Yep, so 3/12 is the same as 1/4. So that's how I check my work, that 1/12 is the correct answer. Okay, we did the Italian restaurant in class for most of y'all. So the Italian restaurant had 1/8 of a pan of lasagna left at the end of the night. He decided to package it into 3 containers. So he has 1/8 of a pan of lasagna left. And remember, your leftovers are not whole numbers. Your leftovers are fractions. You have less than 1 whole. How much of the pan of lasagna went into each container? All right, so what am I going to be breaking up? Am I going to break up the 3 containers, or I'm going to be separating the 3 containers, or am I separating the lasagna? Got to separate the lasagna. So my fraction then becomes 1/8 divided into 3 parts because it's 3 containers. So each container is going to receive, so I'm going to bring my 1 over because my fraction is now going to get smaller than my 1/8, and it's 8 times 3 is 24. So each container receives 1/24. Another way of doing that, if I represent it, here's my pan of lasagna. And I'm going to have 8. So I'm going to cut this in half, and half, and half, and half, and half, and half, and in half. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 1 whole, 8 eighths. But I only need 1. So this is what was left over out of everything. Well, I'm going to put these into 3 containers. So if I need to draw out the containers, so this one is going to go here, this one will go here, and this last one will go here. The question is how much of it's going to be in there? Well, if I'm starting off with 1/8, my fraction now becomes much smaller. Well, I have to think of the whole lasagna, so I'm going to put dotted lines. Well, this is 8 times 3, that's 24. So 1/24 will go into each container. So that's what we're looking at. If I add those together, it's 3/24 And 3/24 is the same as 1/8. So my answer is correct because that's what I started off with, and that's what I ended it with. Can you see that? Let's see if it's going to enlarge it. I won't do it today. Don't know why. Okay. Julie buys a board that is 6 feet long. Now she wants to cut it into pieces that are 1/3 foot each. How many pieces will Julie have after she cuts the board? Okay, so how long is the board? 6 feet or 1/3 foot? It's 6 feet long. Look, you can even have a picture of it. It's 1/6 foot, and she wants to cut them into thirds. So what's my equation? Very good. 6, and I want to cut those up into 1/3. If it starts with a whole number, it's going to end in a whole number. So 6 times 3 equals, she's going to have 18 boards. To show that, here's my first foot, and she's going to cut that into thirds. Here's my second foot. She's going to cut that into thirds. Here's my third foot of board, and cut that. And I could show it where it's long and then just break that up into holes and then cut that up. But I'm going to do it this way because it's easier for me to see it. It may be easier for you the other way. So you do what's easiest for you. So I'm going to represent my 6 feet. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Or 6 groups of 3 in each group, which is the same as 6 times 3 equals 18. So she gets 18 boards. All right, we did this other one in class where it had Tina cuts 1/3
Testing.
yard of fabric.
Ms. Tiarina, please report to the conference room. Ms. Tiarina, please report.
Okay, so Tina cuts 1/3 yard of fabric into 4 equal parts. What is the length of each part? Okay, what are we cutting up? Or what do we have that we're going to be separating? We're going to cut. Yeah, we're going to cut the material. How much material do we have? Yeah, we have only 1/3 of the yard of fabric. So I'm going to cut the 1/3 of the fabric into 4 equal parts. So this 1/3 is going to be cut into smaller pieces. So what's my new fraction? So it's going to be 1 and 3 times 4 equals 12. So it'd be 1/12. Take that 1/3, cut that into pieces. If I wanted to show that, here's my fabric. So I'm going to show it as a 1 whole yard, right? My denominator tells me how many parts I'm going to have, and it's 3 parts. This is the one that I'm going to be using. So this is going to be the 1/3. I need to cut this into 4 parts. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one because I have to represent it as that whole. So now I'm going to have a total of, that's 4, 8, and 12. So I have 12 out of the 12. So what does this part represent? 1/12. Okay. Let's look at Annalise. Cuts 1/2 yard of rope into 8 equal parts. What's the length of each part? Wow, so she's got this yard of rope, and she's going to cut that in half, and she's going to cut one side, that 1/2, into 8 parts. Okay, so now she has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. She's going to do the same thing to this other side. So this is 8. What's the value of an 8? And there's 8 equals about 16. So if I had 1/2 and I'm dividing that into 8 equal parts, each one is going to be 1/16. So my 1/2 fraction just got so much smaller. All right. If I wanted to do that as a demonstration, it looked like a little fin. Okay, got stuck on my bracelet. All right, so here I'm just going to cut this in half. And I'm going to cut this into 8 parts because my denominator tells me so. And then if I did it to the other half, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now I have a total of 16. This is the 1/2. So it's going to be, this is going to be valued at 1 out of 16 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14, 15, 16. So this is valued at 1 out of 16. And that's what I have here. All right. Got a little bit of Play-Doh on my paper. That's okay. All right. So now I'm going to put this back in. And if you don't have Play-Doh at home, you can use anything to cut up. Even just create little pieces, make paper strips and then cut those up too. Okay, cooks at a food booth at the state fair made an extra large 6-foot long burrito. Wow. If they cut the burrito into 1/4 foot servings, how many people will the extra large burrito serve? Okay, how much of the burrito do we have? Very good. We have 6-foot long burrito, and they want to cut it up into fourths. So what's my equation? 6 divided by 1/4 equals, how many people can they serve? Very good, 24 people. If I start with a whole number, I end in a whole number. Good work. I can also show that this is the 1 foot of the burrito, and I cut into 4 pieces. This is the next foot of the burrito, and I slice that into fourths. The next one, a 3rd foot, cut that into fourths. The 4th foot, cut that into fourths. The 5th foot, cut that into fourths. And the 6th foot, cut that into fourths. So now I'm going to have 6 groups. Groupos. That's so funny. 6 groups of 4 in each group, which gives me the equation of 6 times 4 equals 24. There you go. All right, the other one we worked on in class, we did Mrs. Smith baked a square-shaped pan of brownies on Saturday. So on Sunday, there was only 1/6 of the pan was remaining, and then she divided it into 4 pieces for her children. So how much of the whole pan of brownies did each child get on Sunday? Oops, there we go. All right, so I had some kids in the last block that kind of got that confused. And so they wrote out, oh, well, I'm going to have 4 children. And I divided them into 6. Are we cutting the kids up? No, we're not. What we're doing is we have only 1/6 of the brownie. We're going to split the brownie up, and we're going to divide that into 4 pieces. So each child will receive 1/24 slice or piece of brownie. Not a whole lot, but at least somebody gets a little treat. Okay, here, a serving of a burrito contains 1/4 pound of meat. Now, Franklin, I'm going to put 1 person and 2, so it's going to make it 3 friends shared a serving equally. How much meat did each child eat? Okay, so that was going to be 1/4 is all the meat that they have in that burrito. And they're going to be sharing it with 3 people. So I'm going to take my 1/4. It becomes smaller, so it's going to be 1/12. Drawing out that picture. Here's my burrito. I'm going to divide that into fourths. So this is what they're going to share. Divide that into 3. So what is the value of this? If I continued on, there's going to be 12 pieces. So this becomes 1/12. Thomas makes 3 sandwiches that he cuts into thirds. How many 1/3 size sandwich pieces does he have? Okay, well, he starts off with 3 sandwiches and he cuts those into thirds. Oops. So he's cutting or dividing them into thirds. How many 1/3s does he have? Well, 3 times 3 is 9. To prove that, here is 1 sandwich. And he cut that into thirds. He has another sandwich. And he cut that into thirds. And he has this last sandwich. And he cut that one into thirds. So he has 9 1/3 sandwiches. Reed has 4 bags of soil. Okay, see those at Walmart, H-E-B, Lowe's, Home Depot, Amazon, bags of soil. He uses 1/3 of a bag to fill each planter. So how many planters can Reed fill with the bags of soil? So here's 1 bag of soil. So there's 1/3. It's going to be 3 parts because that's what, so 1/3 is a planter, the other. So how many planters can he fill out of the 1 bag? Very good. He can fill 3 planters. The next bag, 1/3 per planter. The third bag, 1/3 per planter. And the fourth bag, 1/3. So how many bags or how many planters? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my equation is going to be the 4 bags, and he divided those into 1/3, and he can fill 12 planters. You can also do the keep. Got to keep the 4 bags. That's my dividend. Change the division to a multiplication and flip, because I do have 4 groups and there's 3 in each group, and that equals 12. This one is a repeat on the last page, so you can, on the other page, so you can cross that out. The dragon costume for New Year celebration is 9 yards long. Okay, so if Brittany sews a button on each 1/6 yard section, how many buttons will she sew? Well, she has a full 9 yards, and we got to separate that into 1/6. So how many buttons? She's going to sew 54 buttons. So here I'm going to have 1 yard. Okay, and that's 1/6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 6 buttons. It's 12 buttons. $18 buttons. And I'm just going to keep going because I need 9 of them. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is going to be 7, 8, 9 yards. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 groups. And 9 groups of 6 in each group equals 54. And that's how we got that. All right, tomorrow we're going to be reviewing for your unit test, which is on Thursday.